Hello everyone. So we'll start the session. First, let me log into our account. Okay, so fine. So in the last session, so what we have done, so we discussed about so how to work with a retention period, so how to implement a time travel options, right? So how to create a retention period and how to go back to the retention period by using time travel. Now, so in this session, what we are going to do is we will see about tasks. So here, so tasks, it's a combination of two things. One is we can able to handle schedule. Another thing is we can able to handle dependency. These are the two things we can able to handle in a task. General, what is the meaning of general meaning of task? When you are doing something, right? If you are implementing something, we will call it as a task. When you are working on something, that is a task, right? Here also, in terms of the snowflake, if you are doing something in snowflake, it can be creating a table, or it can be inserting the data into the table, whatever it may be. If you are creating a view, so any specific things when you are creating, right? So when you are implementing, we will call it as a task, right? If you are doing some performance action, suppose writing a query, let's assume that writing query, or you can able to do update, insert, or whatever it may be, any ddl or dml. When you are doing that, we will call it as a task here. When you are implementing a task, we have two things. One is we can schedule, and then we can able to handle dependency. Schedule means, let's assume that you need to implement on everyday basis. Every day 6 a.m. you need to load the data into the table. Okay, every day if you want to run some insert script, so then what you have to do, you need to open your snowflake account, and then you have to log into the account, and so you need to run manually the script, the insert command, whatever you have to do, you need to do it manually. Suppose let's assume that, so here we are so checking the data, right? We are checking the data, or we are doing something here. When you are implementing this, so we need to do on everyday basis. Then every day what you will do, manually you need to come, and then you need to run this, right? So instead of that, so we can able to handle scheduling. Scheduling means once you schedule, so like so you are keeping alarm in your mobile. So once you keep the alarm every day same time, so you can able to so keep it, right? The same way here, every day the same time, or any specific time, or half an hour once, every 1 hour once, every 10 minutes once. If you want to do something repeatedly, then what you can do, we can able to do it in a schedule. We can do that in a schedule, like repeated task, repeated task, right? That is nothing but a schedule here. Now coming to another thing, we have a dependency here. Dependency means when you are scheduling, when you are doing something, so when you are implementing a task, this task is dependent on other thing. It means you will have so like kind of parent and child relationship. When you are loading the data into the table, first this particular data has to run. Then that we will call it as a dependency, right? If you are doing something, so we are waiting for some other task to finish, then we will call it as a dependency, right? So we'll call dependency. Suppose now, so in this session we are waiting, so recording is happening. This record, when it will be completed, so whenever we are recording this session, this record will finish. So once the session is closed, right? Now recording is dependent on the closing the session, right? So the same way, so here also when you are working with a dependency, if it is depending on any other task, depending on other task, we can call it as a, okay, depending on other task, then we can call it as a dependency. Here if you observe, you will have, like for example, so parent and child, and then these dependencies will be available. Let me show you something. Now observe this one. What you can see, we can see root task, right? And the task A is dependent, sorry, is once it is completed, task B will run. Task B is completed, we can able to execute D, E, F. Same way, task T, C is completed, so we can run G and H. Task C is dependent on task A, right? So same way, so task B is also dependent on task A. And task D, this one is dependent on B. All these three dependent on B. These two dependent on C, right? This is like kind of dependency what we can able to create. When you are creating a task, right, there is a condition. These are the interview questions. In a account, you can create total 1,000 tasks, not more than that. In a complete snowflake account, it means you may have a number of users in this account. This is the account, right? You may have 10 users in this account. It means 10 members is working on this particular snowflake account, like developers, admins, testers. Let's assume that when they're all working in this complete account, you can able to create 1,000 tasks at the same time. So 1,000 tasks we can able to create, not more than that. This is a parent task. And coming to child tasks, we can able to create so 100 child tasks for each parent, for each parent. Now if you observe here, this is parent A, right? For this parent A, you can able to create 100 child tasks like B and C and others. Same way, so for this task B, we can able to create so 100 child tasks, 100 child tasks like D, E, F like this, right? You can able to create 100 child tasks, 100 child tasks. Okay, so same way for the task C, so you can create only 100 child cells, but all together we can able to go beyond so 1,000 tasks in a account. This is 1,000 tasks in account. For each and every parent task, you can create max 100 child tasks. These are the, so when you are creating a task, we need to remember this. And let's observe this. What we are going to do is we will create a tables, and then we will see that practically we will implement. So how we are going to implement, we will see that. And one more thing, when you are creating a task, right, you have to use account admin or security admin roles. Only account admin or security admin roles only we can able to create. Other roles, if you use, so we cannot able to run the task. We can create, but we cannot able to run the task. So only account admin and security. When if you observe, see this one, through which account we are in. Account admin role only. Account admin role. We have another role here. If you observe, security admin. Only these two roles only can be created a task. Other roles also you can able to create, but you cannot able to run the task if you create it. It's not possible to run the task. So that's why account admin, or you have to use security admin. Okay. Now let's observe. So how we are going to create a task here. So when you are creating, if you have dependencies, when we will call it as a dependency task. If you don't have any dependencies, so we don't have any dependencies, then we will call it as a standalone task. We can call it as a, this one, task A is a root task here, right? This is not dependent on anyone, right? Any other task, it is not depending. Task A, then we will call it as a standalone task, okay, a root task. Now observe this one. So how we are going to work with this? So now come to this. First we will create a table. When you are creating a table, we will create some data and then we will insert the data into the table. Now when you are creating a table, see this one. Let me come to this account. I mean, so database and schema here, database and schema. Now this is a create table. Create table. This is table name. So we have column names and then data types, right? And when you are observe column name, this is a data type, and you can see this one, auto increment start equal to 1, and then increment by 1, increment by 1. What it mean by that? So what you are doing is auto increment for this particular employee ID. Every time when the data is trying to insert into the table, if you insert values into this or not, by default automatically it will increment by 1, it will start with 1. It means it will create a sequence numbers like 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? That is the meaning of this particular statement, increment. So start equal to 1, that is auto increment. It will start with 1 and then it is going to increment by 1 by 1. Okay. Now that is related to employee ID and employee name. When we are creating a column itself, we can able to decide what is the default value we need to insert. This is the default value. It means when you are not inserting any data into this, by default the value will be this one. So if you want, we'll give snowflake, right? Always when you don't insert any value, it will take it as a snowflake, right? This is a default value. Now this is a load time. This is date. Now we have 3 columns, and then employee ID, it will be incremented by 1, and then so start with 1. Employee name, always it will be the snowflake, and then load time. We have 3 columns when we are creating a table. Okay, let's create it. Now once we created, now so we need to insert the data into this table. We need to insert the data into this table. When you are inserting the data into this particular employee table, what we will do is we are going to implement that every, so let's assume that every 1 minute once, every minute we need to insert the data into the table. Then what you can do, every minute you cannot sit here and then you cannot run one by one, right? Every minute you cannot execute the task, right? Then what you can do, you can schedule that. Now let's observe this, how we can do this. We are going to create that in a task, create or replace task. This is the task name. We are creating a task name. See this one, we are creating task name. This is the employee underscore task. When you are creating a task, observe this task has to be scheduled for this particular warehouse. When you are doing something, we need to decide in this particular thing which warehouse it has to run, right? If you have multiple warehouses, we can able to so select it also from here in the drop down list. We will see that in the next sessions. So how to create a multiple warehouses. So now, so here only one warehouse. Whatever we are going to do implement, it has to be implemented in this particular warehouse. That's why We are assigning that to warehouse equal to compute warehouse. Okay. And schedule equal to 1 minute. Always remember here, when you are giving a schedule, you have to give in the form of minutes only. Okay, that is the default thing. So it has accepted only 1 minute. And as what you are trying to do here, see this one, what you are doing, insert into this particular table load time and then value as current timestamp. It means whatever the timestamp is available, this timestamp will be loaded to this particular column. Understand, right? What about the remaining columns? Employee ID will be integer number, increment number, sequence number, and then employee name always it will be a snowflake. These are the default values we have given, right? Now observe this. Create or replace task warehouse. We assigned compute warehouse schedule every 1 minute. Every 1 minute. What you are trying to do in this task as insert into. We are inserting data into this particular table. Now observe this. When you are creating a task, when you are creating task, what you have done, so the task has been created. By default, once the task is created, the task will not run immediately. If you observe, show tasks, observe this one. What is the task status here? If you observe, this is the task name when it has been created. Observe the task status suspended. And what is the schedule time? Every 1 minute. Warehouse, this particular task will run in this particular warehouse, right? All these things is available here, right? What you are doing in the task, we are inserting into table, right? Okay, now by default it is in a suspended mode. It means this task will not run, this task will not run until you trigger this. So this particular statement, the task will not run. Okay, now let's observe this, how we can able to do that. What you need to do is you need to alter the task. If you want to run, you have to alter the task. Now observe this one, what you are doing, alter task, task name. See this, now what is the status? Is suspended mode. We are trying to run. Okay, before going to that, now let's just refresh it here. Can you observe any data here in the table? See this one, we don't have, it's an empty table, right? Now we are resuming the task. Just observe this, we are going to resuming the task. When you resume the task, what will be the task status? Again, if you come and then if you check, the task status is, see this one, what is the status here? Started. Previously it is task status is in the suspended mode. Now this task status is, it's a started. Now the task has been started, right? Okay, now what it will do, every 1 minute it will trigger, every 1 minute it will trigger. And if you don't stop this, it is nothing but a suspend. If you don't suspend this task, every 1 minute it will utilize the warehouse. See this, now warehouse is green. It will utilize the warehouse, and every 1 minute it will insert the same data. It will insert the same data into the table. When it is inserting, we have given auto increment. Instead of running manually, like insert into the table, what we have done, we scheduled it for 1 minute, we assign to the warehouse, right? This here, we don't have any dependency. This is not dependent on anything. We can call this as a standalone task. Standalone task. Now let's check the data here. Refresh and then see this one. How many records? One record has been inserted, right? Every 1 minute it will come and then it will insert the data into this table. This is standalone task. Now let it be for some time. Meanwhile, we will discuss about this particular dependency task. When you are creating a dependency, right, there is some rules. When you are creating dependency, we can consider parent and then child, parent and then child. Okay, when you are creating a parent and child, when you are starting, when you are starting, if you have a child and then if you have parent, first you need to start child first. This is the first. Then you need to start parent next. When you are starting, this is the sequence. I will come to that with an example. Then we can understand. When you are stopping, stopping means nothing but a suspended. Okay? Starting is nothing but a resume. Starting is nothing but, we can consider this is as a resume. Okay, coming to stopping, it's nothing but suspend. Okay, suspending, resume and then suspending. When you are suspending, parent is the first. You need to suspend the parent first, the child next. This is the order. Always you have to remember this. Okay, this is very important. So otherwise, it will not allow you to do. Suppose to easily remember, let's assume that some relatives came to home, okay, with their childrens. Now, let's assume that you have limited food. Okay, what you will do first, if you want to give the food to them, first you will give it to the childs first, then you will give it to the parents. Okay, then if you want to stop, if you want to stop, still, both are eating, so if you want to stop, first you will stop for the parents, then you will stop for the childs. All right, so starting and then stopping, you can relate it to this. So that is a, because child always dependent on parent, right? So this is the some main reason behind that. So if you stop, if you start parent first, what will happen? Child doesn't know, so from where it has to start. Okay, so we'll see that things. So when you are stopping, if you stop the child first, child is dependent on parent, right? So child is dependent on parent. That's why, so always you need to stop parent first, then you need to stop child. Okay, so let's assume that these childs are dependent on parent. They need to parents has to guide them, right? Okay, so that's why, so when they starting, so parents will guide them. So for the children's, okay, so how to start, then so you have to, so parents will start. When they are stopping, so they, if they want to guide, the first they have to stop parents, then childs, right? The same example, so you can relate to this. So dependency task, dependency tasks. Now meanwhile, so this one, so let's observe, so how many records we have here in this particular table, how many inserted, sorry, employee, preview data, series, so this one, series, sequence numbers 1 2 3 4 5, right? And then every employee name, it is saying like snowflake, right? And then you can able to see the timestamp. So it is keep on running, right? See the virtual warehouse, it's keep on running, it's still active. If you want to stop, what you have to do, you need to suspend, you need to suspend, alter task, task name, suspend. When you suspend this, it's done, right? Now when you check this, show tasks, then it has been stopped. See this one, suspended. Now it is suspended. Now So to do this, so once it is run, so you have to just say suspend the task. That's it, right? So you can keep on, it will keep on waiting for every 1 minute. You can schedule this every 1 hour once it has to load something. When you are loading the data in a snowplow, we will see that. So how can we implement this with a real example. So snow pipe or slowly changing dimension implementation. Going forward, we will discuss all these things. So then we will see again, we will come to the task, how to implement the task by using those things. So we will see that again. So now here what we are telling, so it is dependent, and then so virtual warehouse we assigned. So it is not dependent. Standalone task is not dependent, sorry. And then so we are giving, so virtual warehouse, it assigned, we assign to the virtual warehouse. Then so we schedule a time every 1 minute. Okay, this is standalone. If you have dependency, how to handle? Now we need to create parent and childs. Parent and childs. The task when you are creating that, let's come to this again. Okay, let me close this. Now if you observe this, first let's create parent. Come here. Observe this, what we are doing. We are creating table. We are creating a table, employees underscore parent. Same thing, ID, name, and then time, load timestamp. Okay, let it be with the this example. And we are creating a task. Observe this, create and replace employee parent task, schedule warehouse equal to this one, schedule time equal to 1 minute, and then what we are doing, same thing, insert into this particular table the load time. When it is inserting, what it will do, so it will be loaded this data, and then it will load default value as no. Now when you run this, the task has been created. This is a parent task, right? But what is the status of this parent task? By default, it will be suspended, right? Parent task also it will be suspended. Now observe this, we have two tasks. One is parent task, another one is thing. See this one, so it is suspended. It is in suspended. Okay, fine. So now let's come to this one. So once it is done, so if you observe the child task, what you are going to do is we will create a child task here. Now observe this, create table, table name child, employee underscore child, and then so these are the column names. So we are not giving any default values for this, just we are creating a column names, employee ID, and then name, and then so load time, right? So these are the, so just we are creating a column names and data types. Now we created this particular child. When you created a child, so now we are creating a child task. When you are creating child task, observe this one thing here. What you are doing, create or replace task. This is task name, and this is warehouse. These are fine. But when it is coming to schedule, observe this, what you are doing. Instead of scheduling, we are giving that after, after parent task, after parent task. What it mean by that? Now, so when you are doing this child task will run after completion of this parent task. That is the meaning of this. That's why we have a keyword after here. After this particular task means after completion status, so it is going to run child task. That is the meaning of this. And what you are doing here, so when you are so doing, why we need a dependency here? If you observe, insert into this child table these columns will be loaded from parent table. Now parent table should have some data, right? then only, so this particular child table will get the data from this particular parent table. If the parent table itself, if it is not having any data, then what will happen? So the child also, it will not have any data, right? So that's why, so this child one is dependent on this particular parent task. Once the parent task is completed, this one will run. This one will load the pick the data from the parent table, and then it will load the same data to the child table. So what we have in a parent task, in a parent task, what it will do? So every 1 minute it will run, it will load the data into this particular table, insert into this particular table. Simple, right? Simple execution. Now let's observe this here. So how we can able to so do this? Now when it is coming to this, right? Okay, so we have both the things now, right? If you observe, child one table created, let's create this task also. When you created a task, now that child task also created. Now if you observe show tasks, see this one. When you observe the show tasks, what you can see, so we have childs, right? And then so we have a warehouse and all the things. See this main importantly for the child task. So you can see the definition. All the things are, so this is a child, this is a parent, all are suspended. This parent and child are suspended. Most importantly, so if you observe the schedule time, parent task we have given a schedule time 1 minute, but the child task we didn't given any schedule, right? We didn't given any schedule here. And at the same time, if you observe predecessors, predecessors means nothing but dependency. Predecessor is this particular child task. This is a child is dependent on this particular parent task. That is the meaning of this. Okay, this particular child task is dependent on this particular parent task, right? So that's why you can see, so this, so predecessor here. Now schedule is null because this is having nothing. So because always this particular child is dependent on this particular parent. Now let's observe this. What we discussed, when you are starting, right? Resuming, child first, parent next. When you are stopping, so parent first, child next, right? Now let's observe. So how we can able to implement, what we will do, alter task, right? Task name. Let's come here into this alter task. This is a task name, and we have so resume. Okay, let's give both parent task, okay, and then same thing for child task also. What is the child task name here? This is a child task, right? This is the child task. That will be child task, and this one is take it as resume. This one take it as both will be suspended. Now observe this one. So we have parent task, we have a child task. What is the process here? First, which one you have to start? You have to start child first generally, right? Then you have to start parent next. Suppose if you start parent first, what will happen? Just observe. We are starting parent first, started successfully. And if you start immediately child, this is a dependent on parent. See this one, what it is error. Since the root task is not suspended, the unable to update the graph of the root task because the child doesn't know from where it has to start, because already parents has started, right? Already parent task has started. This child doesn't know from where it has to start. That's why, okay. So first, let me suspend this parent task. Now the parent task suspended. Now observe this. We are starting a child task first. When you're starting a child task, let me come here. Child task first. Now the child task is started. Now let's observe the parent task. Now parent task also started. Now both are started. Now let's observe this. Show tasks. It is show tasks. Both are started now. See this one? Started. Both are started. What this one will do? Whenever the start, so whenever the parent task is completed, this one. So whenever the parent task is completed, so immediately, so this child task will start. This child task will start, right? Now, if you observe the data here, refresh it, you can able to see parent task and then child. Now let's check the data into the parent task. It is a table, parent table. This is a parent table, this one, right? This is a parent table. Now the child one, underscore, this is the child one. This you can create child one or child two, whatever it may be, you can give the dependency, okay? So there is no limitation. So you can, now if you check the data here, you may have see the data, one record, right? Now if you check the data in the child, so again the child also it came inserted the data. Now so this one, both it is working, right? So when what you are doing, whatever the data is available in the parent table, you are loading that particular data into the child table, right? So this is the meaning. So what it is doing exactly. Now, so when you are stopping, what we discussed, first, which one you need to stop? First, you have to stop parent first. Then only you have to stop and next, right? This is the process. When you are doing this, okay, now observe this one. So instead of this, instead of running the parent, instead of stopping the parent, I will try to stop child. Observe what will happen is, I will try to stop child. See this one, graph is not updated, root task is not suspended. It is telling that first suspend the root task is nothing but your parent task, right? You need to suspend this, then only you can suspend. Now let's check the data. After that we will go to that. We have two records. What this child will do, what you are doing, all the records it will pick from the parent table. Again all the two records are again it will pick, again it will load it into this particular table. Now observe this one. See this, again it has loaded the data into this particular table, right? So this is, so how it is implementing. Now let's observe this one. First let's stop the parent. If you stop child, what it is telling, it is not allowing. If you stop parent first, it's done. Then you have to stop child next. Now both will accept, right? Now if you check the status of the tasks, both the task has been suspended. If you don't stop, what will happen? It will, if your account is in, so like without sign out, if it is not signed out, then always what it will do, so it will start running in this particular warehouse, and then it will keep on inserting the data into the tables. Now observe this one, both are suspended, right? These are kind of what you can able to see how to implement a dependencies, how to create a tasks, okay? So now, so let's come to this one. This is the like implementation of the tasks. Now so what we will do is next, so we have the same way, so we have, so change the data capture, it will take some time, okay. What we will do is that is nothing but a streams, okay. It's a, so like a kind of we saw that time travel, right? But Instead of time travel, we want to capture the changes like inserted, updated, deleted records. We want to see. Then, so how to implement that? So how to check that? That is nothing but a so so concept of CDC. CDC. In the next session, we will discuss that. Okay. So CDC, or we will call it as a capture data change or streams. We'll say that as a streams. So we will see that in the next session. It will take some time. Okay, we'll stop it here. Any questions here? Anyone?
Sir,
Yeah. Tell me.
I have mm, uh, I have question on like a retention table, like
Yes, yes.
period
Tell me.
table.
Mm,
So if I create a table,
mm-hmm.
I gave a retention period five days.
Mm-hmm.
That means like I created an for
Mm,
April
mm.
5th.
Okay.
Uh, I
Mm,
realized that like end of the day,
mm,
uh, April 9th. So I want to
mm,
um, increase the time like
Retention period,
retention
right?
period.
Okay.
So
Mm,
if I increase my retention period 5 more days,
mm.
can I see the beginning of uh, data from
Yeah,
beginning of I mean,
you can
for,
see that. It means whenever you increased, your question is whenever you increased the retention period, so can I able to like see the data? So from that particular retention period time, right?
yeah,
The table
like
creation date. Mm.
yeah,
That
like
is
my
that is. Mm, mm,
sorry.
mm.
Go ahead.
Yes, yes, that is possible.
Oh, okay. So
We
like
can able
end
to.
of the day means like we cannot see like a April 5th data,
It's up.
right?
It's
So
up
that's
to us. Yeah.
oh okay. Thank you.
Only the thing is that from the creation date it will consider always.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. And any other questions when you are
Uh,
practicing?
I have one question, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
Vidya, tell me.
is it? I mean, I know SQL. So, is it
Mm.
related to SQL jobs? Tasks are like SQL jobs, or?
Exactly, we can say that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I will send these things. So I am sending every day. So to your email ID also, whatever the scripts we are implementing, right? All these things I am sharing to your email ID. And then if you are not receiving anyone, so please share your email IDs in the group. I will add it to the list. Okay. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, sir.